Hello viewers, welcome back to another video by Meston Educational Services. In this particular video, I am going to focus on 3 Python programs, and we will further make extensions and enhancements to the program. So the very first program that I want to consider today is drawing vertical rectangles. So I'm going to call it rectangles, RECT. And the very first thing I want to do is to import the module. So the TI draw module is what I'm going to use, so I do that. And the other thing that I don't really need is the screen size, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to use the print command, and inside the print command I'm going to get the screen dimensions from the same module under control number 6, get screen dimensions, and I do get the screen dimensions when I run it. Now coming back to the program, I actually want to create vertical rectangles. So the first rectangle is going to be 50 pixels below the top of the screen, and then I'm going to use the for command. I'll use I for the iteration. I'm going to start with 1 and stop at 14, and what that would mean, I will get 13 rectangles, and the step size is 1. I could start from 0 and stop at 13. Okay, now I need to position my rectangles, so I'm going to actually use the draw module and draw fill rectangle. By default it will be a black rectangle that I will get. So I'm saying I want my rectangle 22 pixels from the left edge and 50 pixels from the top edge, which is Y, and then the width of each rectangle is 18, and then the height I'm defining by 212 minus 2 times Y. And now if I run this, I get these black rectangles. The next bit I'm going to do is make a slight modification and add color to this. So all I need to do is just add one more line, and that would be in the for loop, and I say set color, and I'm putting 255 for red, 100 for green, and 0 for blue, and I'll get orange, and I get these orange rectangles. The last bit that I want to do is now actually generate random color rectangles. So I'm going to use the random import module, and where I have set color, I'm actually going to use random integers for red, green, and blue. So that's the red. I'm going to use random integer from 0 to 255 because I know red can have intensity from 0 to 255. So random integer, and the minimum value is 0 and maximum is 255. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing for green color. Copy this, and likewise I'll do exactly the same thing for blue. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it where I have the green position. So that's the green, so there, and then I'll do that. And I need to get rid of that 0 there, so remove that. And now if I run it, I'll get actually colored rectangles. So that was as simple. Okay, the next program we are going to look at is filling the screen with rectangles horizontally and vertically. And you will see I've already written the program over there, and it's just a 5-line code. So it's going to give me 7 rectangles going down and 12 across. This time I've started from 0, and I've defined a variable m, which means when I go down the first edge to the second edge, the separation is 29, and the height of each rectangle is 25. So that means each rectangle going down is separated by 4 pixels, and I've done exactly the same thing going across the screen. Each rectangle that has a width of 20 is also separated by 4 pixels. So I'm starting from 4 instead of 0, so I'm leaving some space on the left edge. So that's what it is. And now if I run this program, I get all these rectangles that have filled up the screen. The next thing I want to do is do exactly what I did previously, go and add color, but this time I'm going to actually do random colors. So because I already have the random import module there, if I just do random for red, green, and blue, and now if I run the program, you'll see I get these rectangles with different colors. The last thing that I want to do is, without making much modification to the program, instead of draw rectangle, if I use the fill rectangle command, so I'm just going to create a copy of this program, and all I need to change is one word over here. The word draw in the last line needs to be replaced by the word fill, and that's what I'm going to do. So now I'll just type in the word fill, and when I run this command, I get these colored rectangles. So that's what it is. The next program I'm doing is some horizontal lines, and we'll actually generate some pattern, and again with random colors. So I'm starting with 0 as my x position, and plus I, and then I'm giving the y positions as well. So draw a line. So x1 x2 x1 y1 x2 y2. So the separation from x1 to x2 is 106 pixels, and it's going right across the screen. So I get this pattern. Now I can actually repeat this pattern going in the other direction. All I need to do is, where I have I for y, I need to do 212 minus I, so it will start from the bottom, and then likewise that one also needs to change to 212 minus I. So it's starting from the bottom, and now if I run this, you get this wonderful pattern, and you can make a lot of variations to this. Yeah. So that's fascinating. So the last program I'm going to look at is with prime numbers. I'm going to add a program called prime, and in this we are first going to check whether a number is prime, and then we'll obviously go and make some more variations to this. So I will need a user input over here. So the first thing, I'm going to store a number which the user will input. So I've called it num, and I'm asking for an input from the user. So I use the input command over there. I'll type in some text for the user to understand what the user needs to do. So enter a number greater than 1. Okay, and this should go in quotation marks because it's a text string, and I forgot the quotation mark at the end. I'll do that later on. I'm going to put the word int in front and a bracket, so it would only be an integer value. So I need to close off the bracket, which I'm going to do, and then put the closing quotation mark. So now that's a text string over there. So that's where the user will enter the number when he runs the program. And the next thing is, I'm going to put an if condition, and the first if condition is, if the number is greater than 1, perform the test. So obviously the user should enter a number greater than 1. Then I'm going to put another if condition there, and this time first the for loop, and I'm going to start with 2 because my first prime number is 2, and stop at that number which is num. And here I'm going to actually use what is called the remainder option. So you have a defined function. If I divide one number by another number, and if I want the remainder, I use the percentage sign. So number divided by I, and I'm going to use the percentage sign. It will give me the remainder, and if the remainder comes out to be 0, that means it is divisible. So I'm using this logic over here. If the remainder is 0, that means the number is not prime. So I'm going to actually print the result out, and I'm going to actually put I over there first, and times the number, and 2 backslashes means that's going to give me the quotient. So the number times the quotient is actually giving me the number there, and I print the other bit that the number is not prime, and I break the loop. And then under the for loop, else, if this condition is not met and the number is not prime, then it has to be a prime number. So I'm going to put print over here, print that the number is prime, and of course my number is whatever the user input over there. So let's put 53 there, and 53 is the prime number. Let's put 55. So Control R, and let's do it with 55 and see what happens. And 5 times 11 is 55. So 55 is not a prime number. So that was just testing whether a number is prime or not. Next, I'm going to create a copy of this, and we'll actually check for prime numbers in a given range. So the user will input a start number for the range and an end number. So instead of one input, I should have 2 inputs from the user. So I'm going to call the first one as low. So that's the lower range number of the range, and then the higher number of the range. And then the rest of the command is exactly what or the program is exactly what I put previously, and just the print dialog I've changed. Over here I'm saying the prime numbers between the 2 numbers are these. But what this will do is, it will, when I run the program, it will print all the numbers, prime numbers, but one at a time in a row. So let's run this, and I'm going to put 45 as my start number, and 98, and you can see it prints all the prime numbers but one at a time in a row. So this probably is not a very effective way of writing the program. I would rather have them in a list. So the last bit I'm going to do is create two actually empty lists to start with, and prime numbers in a range. So one list would be all the prime numbers in the range, and the other list would be all composite numbers. So you'll see the third and the fourth line, I've defined an empty list PR for prime and an empty list for composite numbers. And every time it determines whether the number is prime or composite, it just adds them to the list. So I have used the append command over there. So this is appending it to the composite number list, and this one over here is appending it to the prime number list. So it's just adding the number to the prime or composite depending on the test it runs through. And then I'm doing the output. So I'm saying first print all the prime numbers between the range as a list. So that's the print command down there, and then I've just given an empty space over the line, so it will go to the next line, and this is going to print all the composite numbers. So let's go and run this program. So I have two lists that I will get this time. So run the program. So Control R for run, and let's input 45 as my lower number and 105 as my upper number, and you'll see I get two lists. So the first list is prime numbers between 45 and 105, and then you'll see there is an empty line there, and then I get all my composite numbers between 45 and 105. Okay, I'll just add one more program over here, a very simple one, and what we are going to do is look at some lines and create a pattern. So I am going to change the angle or the gradient for the lines over here, and we'll keep it very simple. So we'll still use the random import and the TI draw module, but for I in the range this time, because I want the gradients to be negative and positive, I'll just start with a negative value. So negative 106, and I'll go up to positive 106, and I'll this time change the pixel separation to 5, so instead of 1, otherwise they'll be very close line. So I'm still going to get about 212 lines, and all I need to change is now from the TI draw module the shape should be draw line, and when I do the draw line I have to give the X and the Y value, x1 y1 and x2 and y2, so the line start point and end point. And I'm going to use the I value to do this. So I've just done 106i and 106 plus I, so those are the Y values, and X value is 0 to 218, and we get this fascinating pattern. You can try a few other things with this as well. You can make a few variations and try just separating, change the pixel from 5 to 3 and see what happens, and change it to 1. Alright, thank you for watching this program, and I should soon be putting up some more videos, so thank you.